No problem.
Hearing number 8221 is being conducted pursuant to Section 26.100.030 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The hearing is continued from the last hearing date of December 11, 2018, at which time a continuance to this hearing was granted in order to allow time for compliance with the conditions of the conditional use permit numbered as 123644. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to N&A Market, also known as Johnny's Food Mart, CO Yasef Amar, and Naya Ali to occupy 4300 Chippewa as a convenience store with cooking and no liquor, subject to certain conditions, should be revoked. Again, the conditional use permit is numbered as 123644. The conditions in questions are as follows. Condition 5. There shall be no sale of items that can be used or intended for use, such as drug paraphernalia, as defined in Ordinance 68404 or its successor ordinances, including but not limited to food scales, glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. In addition, there shall be no sale of cigars or cigarillos commonly used or adapted for use involving controlled substances, examples of which include but are not limited to the following: Phillies, Dutch Master, White Owl, Swisher Sweets, Splitterillo, Backwoods, Optimo, Garcia y Vega, and Game. Condition 7. The applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting permanent signage, and permanent signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator prior to installation. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. After all evidence of the Zoning Administrator has been presented, the Board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of this revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given an opportunity to present their evidence. Lastly, the Board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. Your testimony is being recorded. When you come forward, please state your name and address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the Board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not coach the witnesses. During your testimony, members of this Board may have questions for you. Following the hearing, the Board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the conclusion of the regular agenda, the Board will deliberate, discuss, and vote on the hearing. The Board will notify the conditional use holder of its decision by mail in about 2 weeks. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents, which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1. A certified copy of the zoning code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2. The conditional use permit numbered as 123644, issued to N&A Market, also known as Johnny's Food Mart, CO Yasef Amar, and CO Nayaz Ali, to occupy 4300 Chippewa as a convenience store with cooking, no liquor, subject to certain conditions. Item 3. A letter dated June 29, 2018, sent to N&A Market, CO Yasef Amar, and CO Nayaz Ali from the zoning administrator warning of the violations of the conditions that were found upon a recent site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days of the date of the letter. And item 4. Certified letters dated March 22, 2019, sent to Nayaz Ali, Johnny's Food Mart, and Ferez and Mahelda Isa, 1727 Coachway, Hazelwood, Missouri, 63042, from the Board Secretary, providing notice of the hearing, which was tabled until today's date. The Board asks the Office of the Zoning Administrator representative to please come forward and be sworn at this time.
Your right hand, please.
I do.
My name is Myra Turner. I'm the zoning inspector for the city of St. Louis.
Good afternoon. Could you please tell us about your investigation?
My investigation this morning, number 5 is still in violation. They still have cigars and roll papers. And number 7, because they still have some temporary signage that's there. I did speak to the owner's sister because she was at the store this morning when I was there. So I didn't talk to him. I talked to his sister who was there. And I did explain to her what the situation is and what the problem is with what's there. I think prior to this hearing, they were supposed to try to get an amendment on number 5. However, in speaking with the Board of Adjustment secretary, so far they have not filed that appeal. So this is where we are as of today.
Okay. So just to, again, reiterate the point, make sure I understand clearly, condition number 5, we are still in violation, and there has been no application to the Board of Adjustment or a variance, correct?
Not at this time. Not at this time for that amendment.
At this time, okay. And then condition number 7, there's still a violation, and it is temporary signage, or is it the permanent sign?
No, they do have permit for some of their signage that's there. They do have permits for some of it, which I testified to before. But they still have, like, there's a flag out front for Verizon Wireless, and on the door there was a sign from Verizon Wireless, things like that, which should not be.
In your opinion, do you think they've made any efforts to correct either of these issues since our last hearing in December of 2018?
To my understanding, I did speak to the owner of the business by phone today while I was at the facility. And I will let him testify to what has transpired as far as him and trying to get the on the Board of Adjustment hearing, because I don't want to be second stating something when he's here. He can testify. I did speak to him on the phone. He did say he had been trying to get to the Board of Adjustment or whatever. At any rate, it would be better that he testified to that. I think that he might have tried. He might have not been in the right place to do what needs to be done. I'm not making excuses. I think that he might have tried.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
Just commentary. That's the exact same question I was going to ask, Mr. President, is what your estimation of the efforts have been, and it sounds like there have been some. So otherwise you'd tell us I'm sure you'd tell us there have been none. So I'll look forward if there's somebody else testifying.
Thank you.
Further questions from the board? Thank you very much. At this time, the board asks a representative from the Health Department to please come forward and be sworn in.
Anthony Elliott, Environmental Health.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys.
Please proceed with your
Yes,
findings.
I'm here actually representing environmental and food. We went out, tag teamed them several months ago, and we didn't find anything. You know, under our ordinance, we didn't find nothing. Food didn't find anything. I think he was kind of late on some of his food permits, but he took care of it.
So in general, you have nothing notable to report? Okay. Any questions from the board for the Health Department? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If there's anyone present who wishes to testify the noted conditions have not been complied with, please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
Yes, I do. Niasti Ali. 4300 Chippewa, St. Louis, Missouri, 63116. Yes, sir. The last time I was in the hearing here, I was asked to get an amendment for that condition and also a letter of support, which I provided here. As soon as I walked out of here, after talking to most of you guys, I went to the departments you guys asked me to, which is room 400, 402, and I went to 3-4 places, and I came back here twice again. Nobody knows what to do and how to help me go forward. I heard that the inspector said number 7 is in violation. Everything that the last time I was here, we took care of. I do have a sign from inside the store for, it's not a sign, it's like a LED sign, hanging light, for ATM, Lowry, and open sign. I didn't know I needed the permits for those. I brought my sister with me, she's the manager. Now we know we do. We're gonna go ahead and get these done today. As far as the amendment number 5, like I said, we've been trying to revoke that amendment or do some changes, and I got the letter of support from the alderwoman. It's just nobody in the city have ever been through this, and they don't know the process. So when I talked to her today on the phone, she was nice enough to tell us that she's going to walk us through today to the right departments and tell them exactly what to do so we can get it done. As far as the health department, they did come in there and they told me that I need a different kind of license. We worked on them right away. They point out a couple of things the same day we fixed it. They were supposed to come back in 2 days. They came back. I called them and came back the next day, and everything has been up the code. And we got an A over there. So everything has been fine except that amendment and these LED signs that we know. Now, as far as she said something about there was a sign on the door, the wireless companies come in all the time and they like to put their signs on. I made sure to tell them not to do it again. We grabbed that one. It's not a sign, it's a poster that they just tape it. We made sure we took that off. As far as the flag on the street, everybody does them. I didn't know San Luis had a rule for that because I work in the wireless and we put them everywhere. But if we do need a license for that, we'll get one too. And we'll make sure we get all those done today. But as far as the amendment, I mean, it's been over a year we've been going through this, and still nobody knows what to do and how to get it revoked or change any of the conditions. So hopefully she can help us go to the right departments, and I highly doubt it's going to happen, but we're still going to put in the effort to show you guys that we're trying to, stay in business.
So you still have 2 violations on the books today. You heard that.
Yes.
The easy one is the signage, okay? Do you understand clearly what you need to do to resolve that one?
They will all get done today. Yes, I do.
Okay. Again, I would recommend working with the zoning inspector on that one.
Yes.
And getting that cleared up. The second one's a little more difficult. So it has to do with the items that concerned in the ordinance 68404 for drug paraphernalia. And so do you understand today what you have to do to apply to the Board of Adjustment?
No, I don't.
You still don't understand it?
I don't understand because every department I go to and I tell them exactly what you guys are asking me for, and they don't know what to do or how to do it. But I'm being promised by you guys as employee that they're going to walk me to the right departments to do the right paperwork. So we will stick with her today, tomorrow, whenever she needs us, and we will go and do whatever we need to get done to get it done.
Okay, because you have 2 options here.
Yes, sir.
You can, obviously, the easy answer would be remove everything that doesn't comply with the ordinance. That's pretty easy, right? The second is that you work with the zoning inspector, and after you've taken everything down so you're in compliance, work with the zoning inspector to make an appointment for the Board of Adjustment so that possibly you may get an amendment. I can't tell you that they would amend that, but I think the easy answer is take it down and go through the process. The problem is if you leave everything on the shelf the way it is today, you're not giving us any options to work with.
I feel like as the board, a lot of the people here, I appreciate you guys. You guys have been working with me for about a year. But nobody understands what that means by taking these products down. By doing so, my business is already down big time right now because of the way everything is. If I take that down, I'm going to have to shut down. You're not going to see me here next month or the month after. I'm already putting out of my pocket from my first job into the business to keep up with what I'm doing, about $4,000 a month. Right. You're asking me to take Swishers, cigars, and this is something that it's crazy because every single store in the entire city has them. So for me to take that down, asking to tell customers to go everywhere else and just shut the business down. Now, as far as the process, I've been doing it and we will do it and I will follow her today. I brought my sister with me. She's the manager to stick with her and just to do the paperwork completely and do whatever we need to do. But, I mean, we tried to take it down the last time I was here, and 1 week into it, and my sales went down to $500 a day. I can't stay open a week with that sales. And I understand you guys are trying to help me. It's just this amendment completely, I just don't see why it's there, how it got there. And I really don't want to go through the legal process to try to fight it back, because then it's going to be another year or so. So we will walk away from here today and do everything possible to get that amendment going as soon as possible.
Good.
And whatever you guys ask me for. And again, every other amendment, we took care of it right away, including the health, the 7th Amendment, and everything. It's just these LED signs I didn't know I had, or the flag outside, because every store has them, but we will get the license for those today too. So we'll take care of everything today, and hopefully the next hearing we will not have any of these issues. And even if the hearing is next week, I'll promise you guys that we will not have any of these issues. And one last thing, I even went as far as buying my partner out and changing the paperwork into my own name and trying to renew the license and see if we can, by doing so, when they bring that amendment, not to sign for it and try to do it from beginning. But the city told me that I couldn't do that halfway into the paperwork, because they said you're buying your partner out means you're still the owner, so nothing changed. So halfway into the process, that stopped too, which is an option was given to me by Room 400 just to go renew the license and hopefully come to an actual first business hearing and go through that, which we couldn't do.
Questions from the board for the conditional use permit holder?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
let me just make it very clear. I got a problem with you not removing the paraphernalia. I got a real problem with you not moving it. I just heard you say that you're not going to move it because it will impact your business. That's in violation of the conditional use permit. And for me, the fact that you having other problems with other entities and offices probably doesn't sit very well with me. And I'm just being very candid with you. I don't think that you can come in here and tell us that you're not going to do something.
Again, I agree respectfully, but I think we're miscommunicating here. When you said what's that word?
Paraphernalia?
Yeah. What do you mean? Are we talking about the cigars, or are we talking about drug-related issues?
Well, paraphernalia under this conditional use is defined as cigarillos, cigars, all of those things that you told us that
Right.
you would not remove.
Right. As a regular resident of St. Louis, I'm not understanding how I'm being asked to, which, if that's what I need to do to keep that business, I mean, for a little time, I'll comply. I just don't understand how I'm being asked to do something when no other business in the entire city, including businesses next to me, which is Cook Trip, other stores next to me, are doing the same things I'm selling. I'm not selling anything different. My store is much cleaner than a QT.
Yeah, well, we don't want to treat you in a way that it is different.
Thank you.
And so what we want, however, is that you comply like everybody else complies
Yes.
under the law. And so if we turn our head and don't require you to comply, then we're treating you differently than we treat others. And so with me, it's always law and order. I mean, so as a judge for 25 years across the street, when I sent people to prison, it didn't matter what was going on with somebody else. It mattered what was in front of me. And right now, you're in front of us
Yes, sir.
with this issue, and it needs to be addressed. And I just don't think that you can come in here and tell us that you're not going to do it because somebody else is doing something differently. I think that perhaps you be a little bit more contrite and tell us that you will do it.
My apology on the miscommunication. If that's what we must do, we must do. Again, it's...
I don't want to
We
chastise
will,
you.
yeah.
Obviously, we want to help you.
Of course,
And,
but
and, you know,
there's a
and we've
law.
been very, very patient, and I
Right.
just think that there needs to be a different type of effort to get this corrected.
Again, yes, I will work on that. But I really want every board member here to understand. Like you said, if there is somebody who does a wrong thing, there's a law to punish them, and that have nothing to do with anybody else. But here I feel like you guys made, not you guys, again, the city made a law just for me that applies only to me and not any other business that is around me. So I don't understand why I'm not allowed to sell a thing what everybody else around me is by law. And again, it's not a thing that rolling paper. I don't have rolling paper at the store, but I do have swishers. I do have cigars. I do have Desart tobacco. Cook Trip is selling it. Every other store selling it. But out of the whole entire city, I'm the only one being asked not to. So I don't see it as a law.
Well, I don't think that's probably the case. People, there are conditions, and we expect for folk to follow those conditions. I can assure you that you're not the only one that has stood up here in front of us to have a conversation with us about these types of issues. And so I think what I'm asking you to do
Yes, sir.
is to make every effort to be compliant,
Yes, sir.
and not use an excuse that because everybody else gets away with it, you ought to be able to get away with it. That's not the answer. And so it has to be different.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else present opposing this revocation that wishes to testify, please come forward.
I do. Faris Isa, 1727 Coachway Lane.
Proceed.
We are here for the hearing that you guys requested to come up to, but we are willing to comply with every rule and everything that we have to need to do. I mean, we are here to. I mean, I've done enough business in the city of St. Louis for like 35 years, and we never have to go through this process before. But if we have to do, I mean, we're willing to do whatever we have to do, sir. I mean, to comply with the rules and regulations.
You are the building owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And let me just ask the question. So the gentleman who's the conditional use permit holder, is he a good tenant?
Yes, sir.
Does he pay his rent?
I guess if he's not, he won't be there.
Does he keep the building clean?
Yes, sir.
You would consider him a good tenant?
Yes, sir.
So you would like to keep him in?
Yes.
Do you ever hear any complaints from any of the neighbors about him?
I have not.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
No problem, sir.
If there's anyone else present opposing this revocation that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in.
Tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. First name is Sarah, last name is Ali, address is 4300 Chippewa.
Proceed.
Hi.
Hi.
I am obviously his sister and also the manager of Johnny's Food Mart. I've been there a little over a year. I had a previous store myself. I just wanted to, say if we go through all this, we literally have to close the store down. We've been a resident of City of St. Louis for over 22 years, and we love it in the city. We're trying to do something for the city of the people. The city is going down day by day. We're trying to keep our business going. Just the community loves us, the neighborhood and everything. Cleanest store you can walk in, food, everything. It's just, I'm just asking if you guys can help us go through this and leave us open.
And so you're an employee of the store, correct?
Yeah. And we have 2 other employees, and if we shut down, everybody's going to be without a job. You know, my brother, he's running a huge company. He's a president of a really big company, but as a family, we all run in the store, and it's a family business. I mean, the whole neighborhood sees us as a family. And if we shut down, we have 2 other employees that works with us. They're going to be without a job, and they got kids. I got kids myself, and, you know, my husband also is with me. We all working and everything. We trying our best. You know, we're here to comply with everything, to go through the process and take care of everything. That's all we ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
If there's anyone else present opposing this revocation that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name for the board?
Yes, my name is Terrell Island. I am the zoning plan examiner in the Department of Public Safety, and I'd just like to make a comment. I'm not for or against the application. I noted that Jimmerman said that, you know, that he's been picked on, that this is he's the only one in the city whom we are, you know, putting these regulations on. But I just want to clarify something. It all depends on what the property is zoned in regard to whether we require someone to go to a zoning hearing. So in zones J, for example, which is the industrial district, and in zone K, unrestricted district, we do not require convenience stores to go to a zoning hearing. It's simply because of the zoning of his particular parcel. You know, that's why we had him go to a conditional use hearing. I don't know, he said that he's been in operation for a number of years, and that may be the case. I don't know if there was a change of ownership or something that triggered him to you know, apply for new occupancy, in which case this new regulation was imposed in 2013. I think the ordinance was updated in regard to convenience stores. You know, we started requiring that they all go to a conditional use hearing, and that there be no transfer of ownership without going to a conditional use hearing. So, yeah, we're not here to single out or pick on, try to put somebody out of business per se. It's just the way the property is zoned. If it's zoned in a way that requires him to go to a conditional use hearing, then yes, that's the reason we had him go. So I just wanted to clarify, you know, we're not here to put anybody out of business or to make it hard on anyone. So
as you know, this board is here to uphold the conditions that are in the conditional uses. And those obviously are at the recommendation of the zoning administrator and all the things you're talking about. And in this case here, it's a tough situation because you have a gentleman who owns a store, and it has one condition that many businesses surrounding it that are very similar do not have. So there's a little bit of a disjunct here. Can the zoning department, if we were to grant him another extension, help him find his way to the Board of Adjustment so that he would have a fair and fighting chance at least to plead his case with someone that can change the condition?
well, yeah, he can in some way apply to amend the conditions that he currently has, if that's what he wants to do, or that's what he's willing to do, to go through that process. But yeah, we're not here to put him out of business per se. You know, we are all about, you know, giving people a second chance to come into compliance. It's just that, you know, with the way the property is zoned, you know, this is why we had him go to a conditional use hearing. There are other, like Quick Trips, you know, they're in industrial zones. Same thing with existing businesses. Some of them have been in business for forever and have not changed ownership, and they are allowed to continue to sell those things, are grandfathered. But whenever there is a change of ownership, there's new occupancy, the application that's made, then yeah, they are required to comply to this new ordinance. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Questions from the board?
What's the process? I mean, I'm a little confused. Obviously, you work for me. All the buildings work for me. All of the zoning people work for me. What's the process here? Why can't he get this done?
Well, will have to, I think, appeal to the, well, since it was a conditional use hearing and it was a permit that was issued by the Board of Public Service, the Board of Public Service can hear the application again, require him to revise the application, and then he can come back and be presented as a conditional use, amended conditional use, and then you can decide yea or nay. It doesn't necessarily have to
Well,
go
who has
back.
the authority to, who has the authority to amend the conditional use?
The Board of Public Service, yes, sir. Mhm.
All right.
the-
So,
The Board of Adjustment?
Well, the Board of Adjustment hears applications that are denied by the Board of Public Service, and within 30 days, they would have to appeal to the Board of Adjustment technically. But since I think this has been way over 30 days, then I think this is enough.
it just, this, and I understand his frustrations, and you heard me chastise him. But I understand his frustrations. I mean, it's a circular argument. You're telling me that the Board of Public Service, which would be us, have a right to amend the conditional use,
Yes, if he were to apply.
but we also have an obligation to enforce the current conditional use. And so we're telling him that we're going to put you out of business because you haven't done what we asked you to do, but we have the authority to amend it to allow him to do what we want him to do. Does that make sense, counsel?
No, it's my understanding, the Board of Public Service did not impose these conditions, and neither could we change them, that came from the Board of Adjustment. But that is not, I mean, I'm hearing something different.
So this is a Board of Adjustment application. This is something that was appealed to the Board of Adjustment then, right?
That's my
My
understanding of the.
understanding is that the Board of Public Service has adopted this as a conditional use condition, okay? And so, in order to change that condition, you go to the Board of Adjustment for an amendment to the condition.
Right.
And they override it for this particular location. For the simple reason that if we amend this one, what stops 4,227 others from coming in and saying, take mine away? The Board of Adjustment hears the case and has to make a point that there is actually a need to do this. And they have to make that determination. Is that not correct?
That's my understanding.
That's mine.
Okay, so they must have gone to a conditional use hearing initially, in which case, there was a condition placed on the application in regard to the cigarettos. And they may have appealed to the Board of Adjustment within 30 days, if we impose that condition. And maybe the Board of Adjustment denied it. So
Well,
I don't-
so we're
I don't
engaging
know
in a
what
lot
the,
of speculation here.
Right.
I think that somebody ought to be able to tell him with some specificity what the next step ought to be. And that's the problem that I'm having. We're not telling them what it ought to be. In fact, it shouldn't be our job, but somebody ought to be able to say, listen, this is your problem. This is the reason you got that judge over there upset. Go and just get it fixed. I mean, this isn't killing folk. Well, cigarettes do kill folk, in my opinion, but this isn't committing homicide and murder. He ought to be able to fix this. We want the businesses in the city of St. Louis. We don't want to run people out of the city of St. Louis, but at the same time, I want you to be compliant with the law. And so, who would know the answers to that?
But I would have to,
It's,
I can pose it to my supervisor and see what to do next. Normally, if something is denied, you have 30 days to appeal to the Board of Adjustment by the Board of Public Service if it's denied by the Board of Public Service, or if there was a condition imposed that the applicant does not agree with, you're aggrieved by that decision, you can appeal to the Board of Adjustment, in which case the Board of Adjustment can either uphold the decision of the Board of Public Service, or they can overturn and say, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and have your cigarillos. Now, I don't know if he appealed to the Board of Adjustment, the prior history of it exactly, and if that's the case, if the Board of Adjustment said, no, you have to comply with this, then that would have been the end of it. I mean, that's and then the next step would have been to appeal to the circuit court. So I don't know the entire history. If this is an application that was initially approved at the conditional use hearing and he just decided not to go any further after the condition was imposed and said, okay, Well, and then in the years' time down the line, somebody looked in and said, "Oh, he's selling, these products." Then technically, he wouldn't be able to actually appeal because that